Episode of the Everblack Podcast is brought to you by Deathwish, Hotrods and Kustoms. Check out their Instagram for all their new t-shirts, caps, beanies, cups, and the all-new Atomic Death lineup.
Hey, this is Trevor Sternad from the Black Dahlia Murder here, and you're listening to the Everblack Podcast.
Hey, human skull, this is odorous from Guam.
Going to the Fear Factory.
This is George Corshunner Fisher.
This is Gas from Devil Drop.
This is Wade from Our Last Enemy.
The Magnificent Suicidal Tendencies.
Hey, this is Wednesday 13.
This is Rex from Kill Devil Hill.
This is Gary Lee from Sepultura. You're listening to Everblack Podcast.
Will,
Hey, man.
how you going, dude?
Doing well, man. Thank you. How you going? That's the Australian thing.
That's it. How you going? That's right. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm, dad duty Fridays. I got my son here, but he's being good.
That's good. That's good.
About to kick off the weekend. Talking to you, mate. What's going on in the background there? That's where you got some cool art there, or?
Yeah, I got some cool picture, man. It's like a blending of like London and New York. I'm trying to see.
Oh, and Kiss, of course.
Oh yeah, like always Kiss. Just random shit in here, man. This is my little studio area with the E-kit.
How good's that? Awesome.
Yeah. And then over here we got the Dark New Day
Oh, yeah, awesome.
thing and Evanescence stuff. Yeah, there's all kinds of crap in here, man.
Hey, much like mine.
Throw it up as it goes.
Awesome. Well, I do appreciate you joining us on the show, mate. Of course, the new Evanescence album, The Bitter Truth, has just been released, and it's been really embraced by fans and a return to the heaviest stuff too. 10 years since the last full length. Was it exciting getting back in there and really let rip those noisier tunes?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, it was just exciting to get back in and make another record, you know. I mean, we made Synthesis, you know, back in 2017, or I guess started that process in late 2016, but that wasn't really like writing a whole record from top to bottom, you know, and that was such a different thing that wasn't, it was cool. It was great. I was really glad that we did it, but this was exciting just because we're writing, you know, all new material and and there was just a really good energy with it from the first writing session that we had to some other ones. We had a really cool writing session in Mount Tremblant, Canada, which is up in Quebec, and it's up in these mountains where this really part of like this massive ski resort. We got a big cabin out in the woods out there. It's actually I think it's about 20 minutes from where Rush recorded Moving Pictures and Permanent Waves.
Yeah.
There's that picture of Neil Peart, however you say it, on the water.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
It was just cool. We had just some great experiences in writing, and it was already becoming kind of I say it's a really stripped down record, which is honestly for me, it was the kind of record that I personally hope that we would make, in the sense that it's really where the record comes down to, you know, 5 key components, and that's drums, guitars, bass, some piano, and Amy's vocal. And all the other stuff that gets sprinkled on it, you know, should just be like little sprinkles on an ice cream sundae, and not be this huge part of the big picture. And I think in the past, like, the records have been really heavy in to me, they've been really heavy in strings and been heavy in like programming and everything. It's just kind of like everything in the kitchen sink, and it's great. I mean, I like those records too, and obviously, you know, they have huge followings. But I was just kind of hoping that we would strip it down, and then kind of really take it to the core, and then hopefully not get over, you know, too crazy and adding all the other, you know, nobody wants a sundae with a pile of sprinkles.
Yeah, that's it. You want just enough,
right, man? You want flavor, you know, like texture, right. And that's what we did, man. I'm really, really, really proud of this record.
Mate, it's pretty incredible. It's very,
thank you.
You know what? It's very drum and vocal driven. When I listen to it, rhythm, like in the mix, and I like that. It gives it so much room and space and atmosphere. You know?
I mean, I think that was sort of like, for me, consciously, it was a thing of playing less, and, you know, making it to where when I do something, you know, that it really pops out. But by and large, like keeping it exactly what you said, kind of leaving space for other things to really move. And like, first and foremost, the vocal. And then the guitars, it's just finding spaces, and not just like necessarily in the writing part of it, but also sonically. And that's one of the things about stripping down the sound sonically, is that there's not all this stuff fighting for, wavelengths. And so it allows things to sound bigger. And it's like, it's a backwards thought process of, okay, so less is going to sound bigger, and it does. And I think that it allowed, like, for me, like, I think this is a really, really great record for Tim and I as a rhythm section.
Yeah.
Because he's really good at moving around in these holes melodically with the bass lines. And then Amy, so there's a syncopation that's going on between the two of us and Amy. And she knows how to pick these holes to put these vocals in. And then, I might have a drum part that that steps on that a little bit. And then I got to kind of go back and revisit, okay, where I'm hitting, and try to not crowd the space.
Yes, mate. It's such a great album, dude. Like I've been really liking it. And of course, a lot has happened between the times, the last album and this. Like, what was the point where Amy turned around and said, let's get back to work. Let's get into it. Let's get cracking.
I think you got to go all the way back to, God, what was it, man? 2015 or 2016, maybe 2016. And there were some things put behind us that really needed to get put behind us. Changed management, got out of the wind-up deal. The label, it got great management, and you put together a team that was better for what we want to do. It was a team that was interested in watering the seeds, and replanting the seeds, and taking care of it, and nurturing it, and not just running it into the ground for the sake of $1. And your dog is cracking me up back there.
I'm sorry to. It is absolutely. It's a bit of chaos here in my house.
That's fine. I dig it. I dig it.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, so new management.
Yeah.
Out of the label deal, and then our management came to the table and said, "Hey, there's a couple shows, a couple festivals that you guys have an offer to play." And so we just went and played a few shows, and that was just kind of that's after being apart from each other for 3 years. Went and played a few shows. Well, this is fun. Amy kind of had a new love for it. Started, because when Evanescence got really successful, she was very young, and it's funny how when you take a break from things and you look back on things, how things can they take on new perspective. And also Amy, had a son, Jack Lyon, who's awesome. She and her husband, welcome the baby boy in. He's not much of a baby. He's 6 or 7 now, but so of course that, that slows things down a little bit.
Yeah.
But then when we finally did get back together, there was no pressure. It was new management. We were just kind of feeling each other out, feeling everything out. And then it was like, okay, this is cool. 2018 came, or 2017 came around, and it was like, okay, hey, here's this plan. Amy's always wanted to do this orchestral thing. Okay, we're going to do this orchestral thing.
Yeah.
And we did a summer tour that year, just again to get together. We went to Europe, did a summer tour for 6 months, not 6 months, 6 weeks. And then we started heating up the conversation about synthesis and planning that tour out. And once that happened, it's like, wait a second, this isn't just going to be, a record, this orchestral type record thing. We're actually going to do this tour behind this.
Yeah.
And that when we did that, number one, that record was such a hard left turn. We planned the shows with the orchestra. It's like, man, we don't know how many people are going to show up to this. Is this going to be 5 people? Is it going to be 100 people?
That was huge.
What's it going to be? And wildly,
it was crazy.
It was freaking nuts. And we were just like, wow, man, people are still here for this band. Even when we throw in this curveball, we have these really smart and just musically, what's the word I'm looking for, man? Musically just literate people that just have the palette of all these, us, this band. We're not just one thing, we're a lot of things. And so when we did that, then it was just like, wow, this is awesome. And again, still growing with management, still feeling each other out, had great experience doing that. And then it was just kind of like, okay, let's start writing the next record. And again, not a lot of pressure. We're not rushing. It takes as long as it takes. And fast forward to February. Well, one thing that helped was we did a cover of the Fleetwood Mac song, The Chain, that wound up in the Gears of War.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we did that, I think that in a weird way sort of set the tone for what we were going to do. And again, that song had a lot of strings on it because it was sort of like almost coming out on the other end of synthesis. There were a lot of strings done with that, and they sounded killer, and they made that what it was. But we got through that, and we just really opened up this heaviness when we did that song and made our version of it. And then we was like, okay, let's write this record, and just started like sending ideas to each other and writing. And then, February of 2020, we got together to start this thing. We did the first 4 songs, and the idea always being that we were going to put this record out when we put it out. We might be a few weeks off, we might be a few weeks late on that. We always planned on putting this record out and putting a song out one at a time up to its release over the course of, 8-9 months. We didn't know there was going to be a pandemic, and so we only recorded 4 songs in February and started dropping them, and it was like, well, we're committed now. We got to figure out how to finish this record. We need to finish writing it, and then we need to finish recording it. So that was just an undertaking, like getting us all together to make it. So that's the whole story. About what happened. But
it's crazy to think that all that happened and the result.
Oh shit.
Oh man, I know, right? Like,
dude,
I think it's something that later on in life you're going to look back for a lot of bands and go, man, how did it happen? But the creative side of it was just incredible, and it's come out really well. So did you?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you? You're pretty good with other instruments as well. You're a multi-instrumental dude. Did you get a chance to throw in some synths and stuff in there yourself this time around?
Well, I'm not even sure if that made it onto the record. I think a part of it did, but like the song Part of Me came from a thing that I had that was completely electronic, but what I had done with it was I'd put these drum loops in it, and one was just like a regular kit, but just knowing what I know about it, I compressed the crap out of it and just changed the attack and the timing of it to make it breathe really cool, and then put these loops underneath it, and I put these really super airy keyboards behind it, and my working title for it was called Viceland because it just sounded like something from a soundtrack. And I played that when we were up in Mount Tremblant. We were just kind of running through some ideas, and Tim immediately was like, that's cool shit. So he and I kind of got together, and I formulated this, what it became, verse wise, and then Amy tapped into it immediately. And so we took a piece of we changed some of it around in terms of to fit the melody. But I think some of that keyboard's on there. My thing about it is like, you know what? Our guitar players, Troy and Jen, Troy's just this incredible guitar player. It's just like, you have that. Like bass, piano, are you kidding me? Keys, any of that stuff. And then we work with these really cool programmers, a couple of different programmers on this record. So when it comes to Evanescence and that kind of stuff, I really stick to my drums, but I am playing a lot of electronic drums. So there's definitely that element. Like a lot of the electronic drums that you would normally think are programmed, I'm actually playing.
That's awesome. Well, you got some awesome guests on here too, like Lizzie Hale, one of my favorite people on the planet. Sharon, man, Sharon Denadell and Taylor Momsen, man. How did you get everyone to do their bits during? Not only that, but putting the album together.
Like I think we're like we've toured with all those bands, and Hailstorm, going way back to Dark New Day, like in 2005. I remember they were in an RV with their parents, and they, camper, and didn't even see him load in. I think we were out with Seether at the time, and didn't even see them load in. And then I was standing out the side of this pretty famous rock bar in Flint, Michigan called the Machine Shop.
Heard of.
And I just heard they started the show with Lizzie just singing a cappella. That's how they started the show. And I hear this incredible voice. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't want to go and see this, and I walked in and it was them. And, RJ, I think was 14 at the time. Anyways, But yeah, I mean, it's just relationships. Evanescence did a long tour with Hailstorm. Obviously, we were supposed to do the tour with Within Temptation, which has been postponed. So it's gonna happen. But and then with Taylor, they toured with us at the beginning of the 2011 record cycle, and then for the life of me, man, I'm gonna punch myself in the face because I can't remember her name. But she's also a co-writer on Use My Voice too.
Okay.
Singer from a band called Vereno, who's been out with us a lot of times, and she and Amy are really tight.
Yeah, I know the one too. Yes.
Yeah, I'll think it'll come to me in 2 seconds. It's in the, if I wasn't trying to say it, I'd know it. But so it's just friends, man, And then that song kind of, Amy's all about, we all are about female empowerment, as a father to a daughter, we're all about that. So it's just one more thing to kind of help, promote that.
You've also got one of my biggest heroes on there too, Chris Vereno, who helped out programming.
So back to some cool programming,
Mate.
He's incredible.
How is it working with him? You known him for quite a while?
You know what? We have crossed paths a few times. I have never actually sat down and spoken with him. We know a lot of the same people. The guy named Geno Lenardo, who was the guitar player in Filter forever. A lot of that stuff.
Filter's one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, Geno's just another freak.
But
man, I've just always admired what he's done. And if you go back and you look at a lot of that old Nine Inch Nails stuff, the live stuff, not only is he just this incredibly talented programmer, writer, all these things, but he's also no slouch behind the kit, man. That guy brings it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he hits them like they owe him money. So it's just I'm yeah, you know what, man? I have some aspirations to to try to get to, He's great.
That's awesome. That's probably I haven't heard that one before. That's a good one. That's what I'm gonna tell drummers from now. Hit it like it owes you money.
That's right. Hit them like they owe you money, man.
That's awesome. You also you did a live stream show from the Nashville studio, and that was pretty incredible, man. How was it recording that with the new material being fresh and everything going on in the world and stuff? Was that hard to put together?
It was interesting because, usually when you're in a rehearsal in a band setting like that, you have time to kind of go over things with each other and sort of work out kinks and parts. And, it was just in that studio, Rock Falcon, where we tracked the record. It was just myself, Amy, and Troy. So we were sort of left to kind of draw the map for what the other two were going to do, because they couldn't get here, and Tim just didn't feel comfortable getting on a plane. And so we did what we could do, and it was cool, but it was also bittersweet, I think, because it was kind of all right, we're not really performing, we're playing these songs, it's live, it feels good to do this too, but there's an element missing, i.e. the crowd. And, there's an energy that, there's a give and take and energy with that. So it was cool. I'm really glad we did it. I'm proud of it. It was cool. We're actually doing another one that's coming up for Cooper Tire. And it's going to be badass. I think it's coming out on May 5th, May 10th. I'm really excited about that, because that's a little bit more of a performance thing where we're going to be on a stage and have some production, and it's going to be cool. The only bummer about that one is that we can't get Jen into the country. I mean, we tried.
Oh, bummer.
We tried and tried and tried. So she's going to have to do her parts remotely again. Let me tell you this, just case in point. We tried. She was willing to do whatever it took to get here. And one of the things it was going to be, one option was to fly her from Germany to Toronto, and she would have to sit in a hotel in Toronto for 2 weeks in quarantine, and then she could come to Nashville. She was ready to go. She's like, yeah, I'll do it, whatever. I'll just take the time, work on, the new songs we've never played live, and do that. And she was a trooper. And then I spoke to Amy, and she told me about that. And I read the New York Times a lot, and I'd read it, and I was just like, you know what? I was like, I just read that Ontario, Canada, which is where Toronto is going on lockdown again for 4 weeks today. And that was like a week ago. And she's like, well, I'm sure we've got this incredible tour manager. She's like, I'm sure that he knows about it. I'm like, yeah, he probably does. Well, lo and behold, that idea went out the window. And then it was a thing of like, okay, we can bring her into Turkey. Same deal in Turkey. She had to sit there for 14 days and then she can fly into the States. Well, just so happens right at the same time, Turkey's, the worst it's been since this whole thing started. The problem with that is that all of a sudden Jen's there for 2 weeks and then she's stuck in Turkey. Can't get out of it. Like, just couldn't do it, man. She was willing to do it, but so that's, it's I feel like we're inching closer to doing something together as a band again. But we added one member this time. Next time it'll be 5.
It's going to be, I think for a lot of bands, it's when they finally get to reunite, it's going to be so emotional for a lot of people. Like seeing
just
people
a big
in person.
show.
Mate.
Think about that. I mean, there's some festivals going on here in the States in the fall.
Yeah.
They're supposed to go on. We'll see. I think that's going to be like the first real test. If those play, we're going to then, that's going to be it. That's when it's like the launching pad, like, oh my God, and people are going to remember it. We were there, that was the first big show back. It's going to be incredibly emotional.
I hope you guys film it. I think it'd be.
We're filming our live stream. That's coming out.
That's coming out. But
yeah, it's not an audience, but we are playing on a stage, full production. Yeah. It's a concert, and we're filming that.
That's
the whole purpose of it. So it's gonna be cool. A lot of new stuff, a couple classics, but a lot of new stuff.
That's gonna be so good. You've had an amazing career as a drummer. And mate, it's incredible, and you've Device was something that was just it was brief, but man, that was incredible. Is there anything happening with that? Is it done?
Nah, that kind of ran its course, man. I mean, it was a weird time. It's like, again, Geno Lenardo from Filter was involved in that. It was me, Geno, and David. And it was just a weird timing, man, because David, we started that, and rock music in the United States is just in a weird place. And even though we had the #1 song on rock radio in the States for 6 weeks, it just was weird, man. Like, and that coupled with the fact that David's wife got pregnant, like right as we were starting the cycle, or right before it, she got pregnant. Let me back that up a couple months. But while we were out on the first couple of major tours that we did, she was pregnant and she had a really hard pregnancy. It was not an easy pregnancy. And I think David was just like, I can't do this and not be there with her. And which, you understand these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And before we even got that record out, Geno was out, and Geno was the main other writer in that band. And so it was just a weird thing. It's a great record. I'm proud of it. It's cool, interesting moment in time. And, I think that if we had some really big things coming up. We were going to go to Europe as direct support for Five Finger Death Punch and Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel like that would have been the major launching pad for the thing. Like that would have been the time when we really take this thing into another world. And we just couldn't do it, man. David couldn't. He's like, I can't leave the country for 6 weeks and do this.
When you meant to be playing, I think it was Soundwave at the time or something. I can't.
Aftershock.
Yeah, there was something.
A lot of festivals over here.
Yeah,
those canceled. We were supposed to come down to Australia.
Yeah,
we pulled out of those first, and then but the European tour with Avenged and Five Fingers still on, and then that went away. I was just like, man, I gotta start doing something else, man, because I think this is not gonna work. So whatever, I got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, you do. And in saying that, I mean, what else have you got going on in the background? What else are you working on, man?
So I'm playing with and I did this years before Dark New Day came out, but I'm playing again with Slaughter. Remember the band Slaughter?
Yeah.
Slaughter. I've done some shows with Vince Neil. I actually played with Vince before we, came into Evanescence. And so between all this stuff, I've done some different shows with them. And but then on the original music side, I have a project with the new singer from STP, Jeff Goot.
He's incredible.
He's awesome. And he and I have a band together called Rival City. And there's going to be some stuff coming out from that pretty soon. That's fucking awesome. It's killer. And Geno's involved a little bit on that. He's a co-writer on a few tunes.
No way.
So, yeah. So it's cool shit, man. I'm excited for that.
I'm excited. I can't wait to hear it, man. Like,
yeah, it's good shit.
I'm so excited, dude. And man, it's been really cool hanging with you. I appreciate it, despite all the chaos going on.
It's hilarious, man. I love it.
It
That's
never
funny.
happens. This is the first time it's ever happened. But here we are.
It's cool it happened with me because I dig it. I think it's hilarious.
I feel like everything is just exploding behind me, you know, like it's like some comedy movie where things falling down and I'm like, it's fine.
Oh, I've been there, man. I've been there. My daughter's a sophomore in college now, but I'm like, oh, man, I remember those days.
He's 4. He's gone now. He's gone.
Yeah. Now he knows you're talking about him. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah, mate. It's good times. Good times. Well, it's been great hanging with you, man. The new Evanescence album, The Bitter Truth, is out now everywhere. We'll have the links down here. Take care, stay safe, and when this is all over, come down to Australia. We'll have the beers cold, brother.
For sure. Let's do this. I love it.